Okay, let's start this off by talking about tonight's episode of The Flash. The episode begins with basically the group finally figures out that Wells, the reason why they can't find Wells or Eddie is because he has been in Star Labs this whole time. He's been in this underground part of where they keep the metahumans. And Wells was fully prepared for all of this because then he lets out one of the metahumans, the girl, the female version of Nightcrawler, who can teleport. And so while that's going on, they stop her, but they find Eddie. And Eddie, you could tell, is a little screwed up by this. Eventually in the episode, he breaks up with Iris completely. She found his ring that he was going to propose, and I guess she brought it up to him, and he revealed that he can't do this anymore because he knows that she's going to marry Barry. She's going to marry Barry. But she tells him that it's not about that. She doesn't care about that she loves him and all this stuff. And I was a little surprised that she was so dismissal of finding out that in the future she marries Barry. Like, she didn't even, I don't know, she didn't really react too much to it. But either way, Eddie he can't do it anymore. He breaks it off. And if these two were going to break up, I don't like that this is how they break up. I mean, I think this version makes whenever Barry and Iris do get together, it's not going to be as organic or as fate as you would hope for it to be, right? I mean, look at this. She admits in this episode how in love she is with Eddie, but it's almost just like, no. Like, what's the real reason why they're not going to end up together? I don't know. A little weird. I do feel bad for the Eddie character. Most of this episode had a lot to do with Barry and the group trying to figure out a way to transport the metahumans out of this facility because they're in danger for whatever Wells' plan is. And they want to transport him to Oliver's prison that he has on the island where Deathstroke and Captain Boomerang is. So, okay, this makes sense. I mean, I like that Joe was like, wait, so I don't even like this illegal prison facility that you have here. Never mind transporting them to another illegal facility. Still, like, when you see some of these metahumans in their cells, and it's like, okay, I still don't understand how this works. Do they feed them every few hours? Like, are they just living there? Do they let them shower? Like, it seems so weird what's going on in this facility, in this prison. But okay, fine. So Barry is so desperate to try to get this done because nothing else is really working that he goes and finds and talks to Captain Cold. Which, when you hear that, it sounds crazy, right? Like, why the hell would you trust Captain Cold? Well, maybe in a normal circumstance, I would think that. I would say that. I would say that this is the dumbest thing that Barry could have done. But not only after the talk that they had last time we saw Captain Cold, how they came to almost a mutual understanding, and also, I guess, just with my knowledge of the eventual spin-off episode or spin-off show that we're going to get, Legends of Tomorrow, and Captain Cold is going to be on that show as a part of the team. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe this is how he comes around, becomes an anti-hero of sorts. Boy, was I wrong. But I at least like that it showed how desperate Barry was, and he was taking this tactic as something that Oliver would do. He wasn't just doing this to be dumb. I mean, he did think that there was a plan behind it, a reason behind it. The moment I thought was hilarious was when Captain Cold's sister when they were all talking in the group, she claimed that Caitlyn was uptight. And Caitlyn was like, I'm not uptight. And then, like, Barry makes a face like, you kind of are. And she was like, well, you don't have the right to call me uptight. I guess Caitlyn's a little uptight. So you see that basically Captain Cold sabotaged this whole plan. That he I guess he came to a point where he realized that it was better to have these metahumans, these villains, owe him a favor than the favor that Barry was agreeing to do for him, which was to wipe his record. I don't know how that's possible, but I'm pretty sure he'll probably make do and get everything that he needs and wants from these villains at some point. The battle at the end I thought was fantastic. It was awesome. A lot of special effects obviously went into that. It was something to see all of these metahumans from past episodes together like this. So I did like that. Quick question though. What happened to the bee lady? The blonde who was controlling the bees. Did she not go in their prison? I guess not. So they get away, and the very end of the episode, Wells shows up to Star Labs. He's back, and he's here to collect and make do on whatever plan he had. We didn't know what it was yet, but Barry just goes right out there, faces him, and you're thinking, okay, how's this going to go down? Now, unfortunately, CW or just shows in general like to do this when they put sort of a spoiler in the commercial. They did that here. I already knew, we already saw that Firestorm and Oliver Arrow was going to show up and help him fight Reverse Flash. But I thought the episode was going to end with them just showing up and then ending right before the fight. We fucking got the fight. And the fight was awesome. I loved how Oliver used Ray Palmer's nanotechnology or whatever to shoot the arrow inside of him to temporarily stop him from using his fast powers, so that we got a nice hand-to-hand fight scene with him and Oliver. That was great. I like that. Just the three of them going up against Reverse Flash was great. Whenever I see Flash and Reverse Flash fighting each other or chasing each other, and they're both in fast motion, but we see their points of view and everything else is just so fast, and it's hard to follow, but it looks so awesome. The effects look awesome. I loved everything about the last 10 minutes or so of this episode. However, I will say that I don't understand at all what's going on with Oliver or Arrow as far as this timeline. I mean, last time we saw Oliver on Arrow, he looked like he killed his friends with Ra's al Ghul. Now, obviously, I said this before, I know that's not the case, but it's like you watch Flash and all of a sudden he's just here. Of course, Barry points out the haircut and the new look, but it's like, so does this episode happen after the finale tomorrow of Arrow? Because if so, that's just weird. I don't know. I'm a little confused, but still, the fact that they defeated Reverse Flash here was awesome. I mean, sure, you defeat him, and you still have one more episode left, which is making me think what the hell's going to happen next week. But it took 3 of them to defeat Reverse Flash, so he still looks strong, and something tells me this isn't the end of Reverse Flash. All in all, great episode though. I can't wait for the finale of Arrow. But speaking of finale, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Season 2 finale, the 2-hour finale, mind you, just happened. Okay, so much went on. Obviously, it's 2 hours. So at the very beginning, we see Jia-Ying, Sky's mom. After her plan, she killed Gonzalez. She shot herself. She started this war. She even got Gordon to go into a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicopter and shoot the afterlife place so that these Inhumans think that S.H.I.E.L.D. is starting this war on them. It's a pretty great plan. S.H.I.E.L.D even bought it. S.H.I.E.L.D fighting May at the very beginning was awesome. I loved it. I love that when S.H.I.E.L.D went after her hand to hand, that May, I don't want to say May was laughing, but she could have, because she was so easily blocking every single punch, every single move. And not just because S.H.I.E.L.D is a novice fighter compared to May, but May taught her how to fight. Everything that S.H.I.E.L.D knows in hand-to-hand combat is from May. So May, obviously this wasn't going to do anything. But then when S.H.I.E.L.D used her powers on her, and that beat up May pretty well, May wasn't happy about that. But still, great moment, great scene. And to realize that Reina was telling the truth about Jiaying not being the one who should represent the Inhumans, how this war would happen. It's shocking to think that the truth could ever come from Reina. And even she has the moment where she talks to S.H.I.E.L.D, and then S.H.I.E.L.D catches her mom killing Reina. I'm a little surprised that Reina died, but I think I was more surprised that S.H.I.E.L.D caught her mom doing it. So that's when S.H.I.E.L.D's like, okay, this is not what I thought was going on. And we see Cal, Mr. Hyde, S.H.I.E.L.D's father, in S.H.I.E.L.D prison. And I didn't realize he didn't know what Jiaying was doing. I just kind of assumed, or maybe I didn't even think about it, I assumed he was a part of this. But then when Coulson was talking to him, and sure, Cal was freaking out and hulking out in a sense, but we found out a little bit more about the backstory, not only about him putting Jiaying back together, which we knew, but the fact of how much this had a change in Jiaying, how different she was because of this. It wasn't just because what Hydra and Whitehall did to her, how they took her organs and killed her, but it was also the fact that, I guess, like he said, her heart was literally ripped out of her. You can't just put that back in. Clearly, even if it was different organs, which might have been the case, this isn't the same person anymore. And I like that explanation. It makes more sense to why Jiaying is the villain and why she's doing what she's doing. Now, when Mr. Hyde goes crazy and snaps and tries to kill everybody there, he looked different. It didn't even look like the same actor. I mean, it could have been the same actor, and he could have just had like a bunch of makeup on or something, but when he came out of there and his hair was wild and he had long fingernails, just his face looked different. It was weird, unrecognizable, but it still sounded like him. And that's when Coulson's able to get him to agree to help them. Speaking of helping them, Mac, who had quit last week and he was about to leave until all of this craziness happened, it was very awesome that Mac not only didn't quit, but stayed in and helped out. He had a couple of badass moments, but more so his attitude, his demeanor, the way, his one-liners, the way how he was acting when he was going after Gordon specifically, and the stuff he was saying. Even the line where he says to S.H.I.E.L.D, when S.H.I.E.L.D talks about everything that's wrong with her mom, and Max said something about, oh wow, I thought my mom was a little crazy after she heard stuff on Fox News. I was like, whoa, we just took a jab at Fox News. They deserve it. So I should probably mention, okay, the moment where Gordon shows up, Fitz is able to concoct this contraption to where he can keep Gordon stuck in this room, temporarily stop him from teleporting, which was very cool. Seeing Mac, Fitz, and Coulson in that room with Gordon and trying to fight him off, that was awesome. The moment where I thought for a second Gordon killed Fitz, because you saw the pole, and the way how it was angled, it looked like it was through Fitz, and then the camera turns and you see that no, it's not. It's at his side, and that it actually went through Gordon. So Gordon's dead. And not only that, Fitz was the one who killed him. I certainly wasn't expecting that. But when Gordon dies, he drops one of the crystals, and this is a crystal that it either turns you into an inhuman or you die. So of course Coulson jumps on the ground, grabs it, stops it from hitting the ground, but then his hand starts to freeze or turn into concrete. And I'm like, holy fuck, they're gonna kill Coulson right now? Again? Until Mac, with an axe, cuts his fucking arm off. Wow. Wow. That was crazy. Coulson is missing an arm now. You see him with a sling on. I don't know if they're going to go for the Luke Skywalker route and have him wearing a robot arm. That'd be badass. That'd be awesome. I'd be all for that. But a lot of surprising stuff going on there. Speaking of that, Fitz and Simmons might be a thing there. Before Fitz went off with Coulson and the group to go off, Simmons, I guess, was feeling a little emotional about the possibility of something happening to Fitz. So she went up to him and she said, hey, look, anything could happen. She saw what happened with Hunter and Bobby, and she said we should talk about what happened basically last season. And Fitz was like, really? Right now you want to fucking talk about this? And I liked the way Simmons acted in that scene. But then at the very end, like the very last scene of the episode, when Fitz tried to bring it back up to her, she didn't really react too much to it. It was like, wow, women really are bipolar, aren't they? 1 second she's like ready to say she might have feelings for him too. And then this scene, she's like, oh yeah, I did say that to you, huh? Oops. Well, I'm not interested anymore. That's just kind of the vibe she had. And then this black goo that's in this glass case. Last week I thought it was the Graviton guy. It's not. It's something else. It's some other being that the Inhumans were after for whatever the fuck they needed it for. Well, yeah, so it came out of the case, basically swallowed up Simmons like the Blob. So now what? What just happened to Simmons? Did she die? Or is the next time we see her, she's going to have powers? Is she going to be an Inhuman? Or is she going to come back as something else entirely? I don't know. That was shocking. That's definitely something and a reason to look forward to next season. Yes, S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting a season 3, and I am pretty happy about that. I should talk a little bit about Ward and Agent 33 because they kidnapped Bobby. And at first, last week, I thought it was weird that they had her and that Ward shot her like 7 times with an icer. And I just couldn't understand why he didn't just kill her. But you see now that he was doing all of this for Agent 33. That, I thought he was using her completely. But no, it seems like he really does fucking care about her. And she was so screwed up mentally about what Hydra did to her. And I guess Bobby had something to do with how Hydra got her in the first place. So Ward wanted closure for her, and they were torturing poor Bobby. Them putting the needles inside her fingernails, and they drugged her so that she couldn't feel it into a certain point to where it just all hits her at once. Pretty fucked up. Seems like you would only learn that type of tactic if you were a spy. But yeah, Ward, for people who thought that the show was going to try to redeem Ward, quite the contrary. The redeeming Ward is the last thing on this show's mind. And I never really thought that Bobby or Hunter was going to die in this moment. When Ward put her in like a saw trap, basically, where whoever opened the door would get shot with this gun. I never really thought either of them was going to die just because of the whole spin-off talk. I know the spin-off now isn't happening, but the talk of this spin-off with those two characters wouldn't even have been going on, wouldn't even have been a rumor if one of them died just now. So I guess that took me out of it a little bit. But I was very curious and wondering how were they going to get out of this? What was going to happen here? The fact that Ward was the one who accidentally killed Agent 33 because she had the Melinda May mask on, and oops, he shot her and killed her. What a reason for him to feel guilty. And then when you see him by the end of it, he's at that bar, and he got, since there's no real figurehead of Hydra anymore, any underlings that are left over who are sort of desperate to be led, Ward has them now. And so Ward, sure, Ward claims to have not been a Nazi and not really be in Hydra as much as other people were, but it seems like he's taking over what little bits and pieces of Hydra that's left. And he's doing all of this for Agent 33. So, very curious to see what happens with the Ward character. Okay. So you get to Jiaying, and she's doing everything that she's doing. She wants to kill all the agents. And Skye was able to convince Lincoln about what was really going on. I did love the moment, though, where he was coming around. He did tell her where the crystals were. And then Mac just comes up from behind and knocks him in the head. And so it's basically, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to hit first and ask questions later. I love that moment. And so Jiaying almost kills Skye. I didn't think that was a part of the plan, but she was willing to kill her, suck the fucking life out of her, which I guess that's what she does to heal. So, yeah, she's straight up evil, Jiaying. And I thought Skye was going to have to kill her, but she didn't have to. Cal shows up and breaks her neck, one, but that doesn't kill her. So he then, breaks her back, just with his bare hands. So, yeah, and the moment where Cal was talking to Daisy, Skye, and he was saying, I have to go away now, and he was asking her to visit him, and she said, of course, and the whole best day ever line, and the moment where he said that he's only had one best day ever, and it was the date that she was born, that almost got me. I got a little teary-eyed at that moment, and so that was very nice. But I was not expecting that they were going to put Cal through the Tahiti project. So they wiped his memory, and Skye went to go visit him. He's apparently running his this pet hospital, or it's where they adopt pets. Wow. And he didn't know who Skye was, but she just went there and sort of just talked to him for a second. I was not expecting that. I'm assuming this is how they're writing off Cal's character. Okay, so his memory's white, but does he still have all that shit in his blood? Because what if he just gets upset about something and then rages out? Okay. It's a nice ending, I guess. It's a little sad, though, that he's not going to remember that he has a daughter or what's going on there. How about the fact that Melinda May, did she leave S.H.I.E.L.D? She left her locker with a bag, and she called her ex-husband, and he said, come home. So it's is May gone? Is season 3 going to be Mayless? That was a little surprising to see that. I don't know what's going on. So the Inhuman crystals, since Skye used her earthquake powers, knocked the helicopter into the water. So the crystals were in the water, and they were giving off their powers, or whatever the hell, smoke, into the fish. And then the fish got caught by fishermen and then put into these products, these pills, or whatever so long story short, are you saying that people who buy this product are now going to have the Inhuman thing? Is this how the Inhumans get created for the 2018 movie. I don't know, but that's a very weird explanation. And the fish? Whatever. So I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's the episode. Wow. I do want to say that probably the best, or some of the best moments of the episode, fighting wise, anyways, Bobby versus Ward in Agent 33. Her just fighting on her own by herself, kicking ass. I mean, I know they got to her at the end. They beat her up, but still, she held her own. I loved it, and that fight especially made me not want to see her get killed. And also Skye being a badass and having to fight that Inhuman who can duplicate herself. Who that chick annoyed the fuck out of me. I wanted May to shoot her in the face, but she didn't. And it even like turned into a Zack Snyder movie when she was like punching and kicking and it went to slow motion. Still kind of cool. So yeah, the finale, I liked it. Thumbs up. I thought this was a great finale, a great way to wrap up the season. I don't know how they're going to top this whole Inhuman stuff for next year, but what happened to Simmons? I'd love to hear some of your theories, some of your thoughts on this finale, on the Flash episode, everything. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.